In this video, we're talking about why solar sales is actually mathematics. Hey guys, welcome back to another solar video on the channel. My name is Ivan and I help people start and grow profitable sales orgs selling solar over the phone and being location independent. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe by clicking the link down below. And if you like the content of this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also, if you have any questions you want to ask me, please put them down in the comments below. I would love to make more content just like this, answering your questions in a video format. Okay, so the topic of this video is why solar sales is mathematics, right? A lot of people say, I want to make X amount of dollars per month, right? So technically, if you want to make 6 figures a month, or it doesn't matter what that number is for you, it might be 50 grand, okay? It doesn't matter. So there's a few key metrics behind that number that will help you get there much faster. And those are CPA, so you got to know what your cost per acquisition is. And the CPA simply stands for what it costs you to acquire a sale. So let's say your cost per acquisition is $500, let's say, right? So in order for you to get 10 deals, you would have to do $5,000 in marketing costs. Doesn't matter how you do it. Your marketing costs could be, to get people in a call center format and pay them $4 an hour. It doesn't matter how you get there, whether you use cold calling, whether you use Facebook, YouTube, TikTok ads, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that your cost per acquisition is $500. So if you want to close 10 deals that are going to worth to you, let's say $5,000 each after, everything pretty much, that's your profit, okay? So if you want to do 10 times 5,000, which is 50 grand, and that's your goal, right? It's going to cost you $5,000 to get there. We know that your cost per acquisition on a deal, obviously taking into account, your closing percentage, lead quality, everything else, right? Your cost per acquisition happens to be $500, okay? So a lot of people focus on the wrong numbers when trying to hit their goal, their financial goal. It's like, what is my cost per lead? What is my cost per appointment? Those metrics do matter, but you have to start from the very top. And at the very top of the mountain is your CPA, or your cost per acquisition, okay? You need to know what that number is. Can't tell you how many times I've spoken to people where they didn't even know what their cost per acquisition is, okay? And that's like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're planning for a failure, right? And even if you do well, you don't know how to replicate that result, right? And I've been there. I used to not know what my cost per acquisition is. I'm telling you, it is the worst possible thing in the world, okay? To not know what it costs you to acquire another sale. So that's the main metric. If you don't get anything from this video, you need to know what that specific metric is. And then work your way down. Let's say we're gonna start with 50 grand, okay? So if your cost per acquisition is $500, you got to do that 10 times, right? That's going to cost you $5,000, right? It doesn't matter if you have setters in a call center format, right? Paying them $4 an hour and it costs you $500 to get a sale. It doesn't matter. The moment you start to go up, the more sales you start to make, usually is very typical for social media to start getting your cost a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher, right? And it usually ends up being around $1,000. So that's why you need to have a healthy profit margin so that you can continue to grow and be able to pay your marketing costs, be able to pay your sales guys, and still have money left over for future growth. Now, the next metric, after you figure out what your CPA is, you need to know what your cost per appointment is, okay? And once you have that number and you think it's too high or too low, right, you can tweak it by looking at the lead flow and looking at the contact rate of all the leads combined. So for example, if I have people reaching out to those leads, what is the contact rate? How many of those people we actually do manage to get a hold of, right? And if that number for us is below 50%, usually they're either not calling enough, they're not texting enough, our numbers are, starting to go to spam, they're not even getting through. It could be various of reasons, okay? But if you have a good follow-up and a good reaching out protocol, that usually fixes itself, with time. Also, you need to make sure that you give it enough time. Usually that contact rate, that number could be slightly below 50%, but after a week or 14-day period, that usually evens out. And a lot of the times actually goes beyond 55, 60%, which is pretty good. And the next number after cost per appointment is your cost per lead. And usually the cost per lead is an indicator whether or not your ad actually resonates with the audience and whether or not your landing page resonates with the audience and whether it converts, okay? Usually if we get a very, very good click-through rate on the ad, which is on the front end, if we're doing marketing on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, if we get a good CTR, which is click-through rate, the ad basically makes people click, right? But when they land on the landing page, and whatever you have on the landing page, you can have a simple quiz, you can have a full-on like landing page explaining what solar is. If they land on the landing page, let's say the first thing is not the issue. The ad does its job and it makes people want to click. When they get on the landing page, okay, we see a huge fallout. So if there is a huge fallout, then it usually means that the landing page does not convert. And usually what we've noticed is at the very top of the page, that's where the most changes need to happen. So it's either the headline or the sub-headline and the actual call to action, which is the button itself, right? The moment we fix that, usually it goes away and the landing page just gets back onto, converting the way it should be converting, right? So it's either the two things, either the ad's not converting or the landing page is not converting. When you get the two to work, then your cost per lead obviously drops. And when your cost per lead usually drops and we have a healthy contact rate on lead to appointment ratio and we get anywhere between 50 to 60% contact rate, which is decent, and then also we get anywhere between 25 and 35% lead to appointment set ratio, then those are good numbers. And then what you need to look from then on is, okay, how many no-shows do we get? How many people we actually end up closing from the people that end up showing up to the calls? And next number is, okay, do we get any people that fail credit? If so, how many, right? So that's the way to tweak your entire campaign, right? Your entire acquisition campaign for solar to make sure that you get a very, very good cost per acquisition, which is your end result of the entire campaign, and that's what we do. And also, if you want to learn how to sell over the phone, how to be location independent, if you want to know how to get the entire machine oiled up and going, right, to where you don't have to be confined by the parameters of your city or your state, and you want to be able to sell in any state in America, I have a free training down below that shows you how to do that, how to do all the marketing and everything else like that. So a lot of value. Check it out. The link will be in the description. With that being said, if you have any questions about the topic that I just talked about, put your questions down below. Maybe I've missed it, okay? If I did, please excuse me, okay? But if you like the content, please give me a thumbs up so we get the YouTube algorithm off the charts and get it showing to more and more people. Also, if the conversation ever comes up and you get to talk to like-minded somebody, okay, that's in the solar industry or that's looking to get into the solar industry and they don't know anything about it, make sure you do us a solid and send them the channel, okay? You don't have to do anything else. Don't share on social media or anything like that, looking weird. Okay, I'm not asking for that. So that's the fee. I don't ask for anything else. So again, hope you got value from it, and I'll see you again in the next video.